We return back to the world of Rarity Collection Stampede. Sure, you guys smash the link, crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So this is actually really cool. You can actually get the early days collection right now on good old Amazon for $20.37. And for those of you that are wondering why you would want this, it's to get the Harpy's Feather Duster out of this set. It's kind of cool that they still have this available, but talking about a game that just kind of rode off into the sunset for its value, it's definitely this. Also, quick shout out to, I guess, the Cactus Bouncer. I don't know what I've missed with this thing, but while face up on the field, while a plant monster, other than this card is face up, neither player can swap some monsters, which is funny. But this thing can't also be swapped summoned. I'm really glad that they had to put that line of text on it. But these secret rares are like $11 to $14 to $15 per copy, and actually back on 12/1, 15 days ago was your last real sale on this thing. You actually did have sales in some pretty interesting numbers, but also, I mean, you have the Battles of Legend version, which is like 25 to 30 cents. We're not really losing too much on this, but I mean, it's very interesting just to see some little value coming around within that. And then, of course, the Battles of Legend Commons. So, interesting. I also just saw this. This is interesting. Your Spell Power Mastery. I didn't even realize these were getting low on listings here. 38 listings. This is the one that adds an Endymion card from the deck to your hand, and then you can count the number of Spell Power Mastery, Spell Power Grass you control, and place that many on the cards that you control. But you could also only use one of these particular. Yeah, these are solid, like $2-3 a piece. You do have sales data to back this up right now. Now, it adds anything that lists Endymion. We've seen recently that we've been getting a lot of this new Magistus stuff. You know, the three lures basically are the current manga. So, you know, we've been seeing the story actually unveiling with this. So it does make some sense that this would be gaining some value. Wow, you click this and this was the only print for this. You also had the Master of Endymion, which I don't even think this card saw a reprint. Have these been gaining some traction? Not so much. The Order of the Spellcaster was definitely, yeah, DMOC spellbook stuff was in here. The long text Endymion Servant, which did get a reprint. Daybreaker was also in here, which was kind of cool. And then we also had the Reflection of Endymion. So, I mean, for what it's worth for this particular set, I'm not surprised to see Yule's Spell Power Mastery doing its thing. I wanted to talk about Quarter Century Stampede. You know, we're heading into overframe technology this weekend. So, I mean, how has, you know, previous sets like this held up? Interestingly enough, I see that the Quarter Century Art Collection is being put up on this listing here for $69, but interesting. Boxes of this are now down to $116. It's actually probably some of the cheapest that we have seen to date for this set. Also, looks like your Blazing Cartesias coming about 96 to 97. Alt Art Called by the Graves have actually pretty much stabilized now. It's kind of crazy to me to think about that there was a time where this Called by the Grave was a $40 card. And, I mean, I know people feel bad for that. Go back to the 1 year, yeah. He started off at 40 and then propulsion themselves up pretty quickly, and it's maintained. Dia Bellstar has actually been gaining some traction as of late. I'm not necessarily surprised to see Dia Bellstar here actually gaining momentum, because it's such a powerful card. You know, we're on the edge of banlist season right now, so everybody seems to think that they're going to bring back something for that deck. Nibiru's are down to 60s now, from a market price at 65. Looks like Ash Blossoms coming about 56 for feet. That's very low now. Your Veiler's Light Place for 50s. It's actually not bad. Maxis at 43s. Platinum Magia. It's crazy to me that this card is still worth $50, but they never really created cheaper prints for this. So this is the sort of scenario that you're just like, oh, okay, well, If you want the card, you got to pay the outrageous prices. The rays are down to 43s. It's kind of interesting. Should all fusions have maintained? Problem with this is by the time we do get, should all stuff, you're going to be looking back on these quarter century should all fusions. You're going to be like, these are cards that we need. Incredible Ecclesia still 44s. Your PCR Magia is pretty much lined up. I mean, you do have an outlier here, somebody trying to make the quick fire sell. But they're basically synced up at the same price. Zeus's are down to 39s. Okay. Your other Magia is 46. The PUR is actually cheaper than the other two. Okay. We're still tracking this. This is still doing its thing. The Blue Eyes has 75 listings, but we're still holding at 37. Trap Dust Shoot at 42. Dark Magician Girl at 37. Looks like Aluber Pooper still at 40 and still kind of maintaining. Fallen of Albaz is still holding at 33. Lightning Storm still 28s. These actually tanked down really hard. We're below market price by like $5 on these now. Wave King is still holding at 35, which is interesting. Dimensional Prisons, these are 27s. Actually, this is not a bad one. Sage still cruise controlling at 25. Blue Eyes 8 Art 25. Arcana Dark Magician, I'm surprised these are still at 24. I figured this would be a lot more popular than it is. 25 on the QCR Dark Magician. Fuas are still 24, 25 for Platinum. Okay, Oviraptor still at 20s. Chalice is still at 22s. This is definitely one of the better cool pickups from this set, if I had to say so. Hayate's down to 20s now. That's interesting. Oppressions, 20s and holding. Quem's still holding at 20s. Back on page 5 here, you have a very consistent thing we're seeing here, where $20 cards are pretty strong. The fact the 9th art for this is also only $20 is kind of nice. Gods are still 20s. Extrav, $20. I will say, though, for these alt arts, they're actually doing pretty well. You do see Metamorphosis hitting the $15 mark. Delinquent Duo still coming in, $15, $16. Okay. I see you. Fua at 14. Masterpiece, $10 for QCR. Problem is, you have a market price still at 16 for this, but, the fire selling is going to commence. $14 on the Ogres, 13 on that. Fairy Tale Snow, we've actually calmed down. We're still coming off of the initial hype train where people are like, oh my god, Snow's gonna... Maybe, man. Starving Venom QCR's got to watch those for the weekend at 15s. Platinum, our Secret Rare Fu is still at 14s. Garunic's still coming in at 16. Buster Blader's still at 14s and still doing their thing, which is not bad. Baby Sarasaurus still $13. Magdalenes are still 16s. That's interesting. And Constructs are still 15. These are very cheap for these. I know, we have the altar, but interesting. Electromites at 11s. Black Rose Dragons at 12s. Okay. I see you. The Fountains are still 11s. That's kind of crazy to think about how much those have taken down. Royal Decree still at 11s. Shooting Quasars, 21 listings. That's interesting. That feels a little bit lower than it should be. I mean, Dark Magicians are still maintaining. The Shadal stuff is more popular because of what's coming. Your holographic Fuas are still $10 a piece. Necro Valley still has some value. Long term, Block Dragon's also a $10 card. This is honestly something to talk about, though. If Block Dragon actually does come back on this list, there is some speculation for this. Honestly, not a lot has moved for these, but I don't know. I honestly would not be surprised. See that also, looking back here on Quasar, this is... don't have a lot of sales data on it, but it's definitely up there. I don't know, whatever's going to happen on whatever is coming on the future list. Wow, Platinum feet are $8. Interesting. Metaltronus is also $9. Yeah. So, TLDR, this set still is maintaining a decent cruise control across the board. I am not surprised to see how well that this set has been doing over time. A lot of people might not, feel that this set is necessarily living up to its hype. And that's fine. But I do think with where we are right now, it's a pretty good takeaway for the market. So what do you guys think about everything? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Patrons! Thank you! Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.